Hello everyone, this is Board Games and Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I want to tell you about Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, which is a brand new Euro coming to you from Daily Magic Games. Now in this video, what I want to do is I want to tell you how the game plays, some of the implications, share my thoughts with it, and also demonstrate the solo play, which is very similar to the multiplayer plays. Now, the thrust of the game when we play it is these dice here on this board. They look like this. They have a lot of information on it, and they act as your workers. They have a strength on them. In this case, this number 3 has a strength of 3. This has a discount of -3, meaning when I want to buy things, I get a 3 discount. And then it has a symbol, kind of to tell me what the color of the dice is. It's allegiance. They're going to be distributed based on the player count evenly in these different what are called shrines. And each of these shrines, not only when you take a die to put it on your personal tableau to activate them, you're going to get a secondary benefit that is inherent within the shrines. When you set up the game, you take even amounts, you put it in a bag, and by the way, this is a prototype. All prototype, even though it looks amazing. Even amounts of dice in the bag, you pull out an even amount and you distribute it. You also put an even amount of gems here, depending on what it tells you to do. Okay, now, what is happening with these workers is your ultimate goal is to complete these battle plans over here. And these battle plans, another name for them, you can kind of think of them as contracts, but in a very interesting twist on the contract. The value of the contract is not up to the board. It is up to you and all the decisions you've been making, which is very cool. And there's this ricocheting chaining effect that I'm really enthralled with. Now, when we look at this contract here, what you're going to notice is there are different symbols. So on this one here, I have a dark blue, I have a red, and I have a green, and then I have an affiliation. In this case, it's a bow and arrow. So to complete that contract, let's say I would have needed a blue, I would have needed a red die, I would have had to have chosen, and I would have needed to have chosen a green die and brought it to my board. At some point in the game, I have to come back to what's called my camp. And if the total of my die equal my initiative here, essentially my battle value, now on my personal board, so let's bring this a little closer. So if the value of my die equals or exceeds my fight value, let's call it my battle here, my initiative, which is on 10, I will get associated points. Now, at 10, here's a little chart over here. At 10, each of my battle plans are worth 3. Had I only done this and bumped it up to 11, I would have been in the 11 to 13 range and gotten 6. And it goes all the way up to 21 based on the choices I make. Now, getting that number higher is pretty interesting because I can simply come to my camp here and complete a contract, or depending on how I manipulate these different circles, these different shrines, I can go here, take a battle plan, put it here, and start my chaining effect. So let me explain all the chaining effects before I get too far away. Okay, we're going to start with just the shrines. Now, when you do play, you're going to get a player piece, and you can only go to each location one at a time. Like, I can't double activate this. So if I'm there, the next time I have to go someplace else, okay, etc. If I go here, I not only take the die that is there, I get 1 gem. And these gems here, you start with none, okay, but you do have the ability to hold 1. In the future, you can hold more. When you get a gem, what that lets you do is it lets you make your die wild, okay, or you can flip it upside down. So the two sides of a die always equal 7. So in this case, you have a die here that's 1, but if I flip it over, I get a 6 value. That can really help me in a jam, okay? So I get 1 and I can put it here. If I go here, I can get 2 magic, which is one of the currencies in the game. And on my board again, I have 3 currencies. I have the currency of magic. Magic lets me manipulate dice up and down 1. It lets me clear out items. I spend 1 to clear out what's going to be called a champion, which is basically dice manipulations. I can get my battle plans cleared out, stuff like that. And I also have money. Money I spend to get things. This is my fight value. Those are my 3 currencies here. So when I visit this shrine over here, I can get 2 more magic, or if you notice this purple symbol, it lets me activate one of these awards over here. So if you're familiar with Terraforming Mars, there's awards. The first person to accomplish these awards will get the most money, and then the second and third will go down accordingly. And every one of these have an interesting location, and they have a benefit and a requirement that's kind of hard to get. Now, in this case, what this says here is you're going to need to have 5 die on your personal tableau which means two things. You're not only going to have to make 5 spaces available, you start with only 3, you're going to have to fill it, okay? Over here, what this says is you need battle plans that have catapults on them. I have none, but that's hard to get. Over here, you're going to need 6 champions. Well, 6 champion cards are going to be hard to get because you only start with 3. How do you liberate these spots? You liberate these spots by completing battle plans. When I complete a battle plan, as a reward, I get to take a blocker, one of these little tokens that's on my personal board, and put it somewhere. Now, in the case that I accomplish an award, I take whatever I want off my board and I place it on the award to claim that points, and then I move my token 9 or something along those lines. But when I remove those tokens from my board, I get a secondary benefit, which is very cool. Now, in this case, I removed it from here. And what did that let me do? Instead of having 3 champions, now I can have 6. At some point, I can have 10. I could have moved this one that lets me have a certain kind of die be wild. Only once per battle, by the way. Here, instead of having just 1 gem, now I can have up to 3. Remember, gems manipulate dice. If I go over here, I get 1 extra battle, okay, which helps me meet this. You add it to your die to meet this number here, and that lets you get points, right? So there's a multi-phase system there. I can liberate this. Now I have multiple spots to hold contracts, to hold my battle plans. Initially on my board, if I went to a spot over here that lets me gain a battle plan and I put it here, I have the opportunity to pay 1 coin to raise my initiative by 1. Over here, 2 coins to grab a die from wherever I wish and put it on my tableau. Over here, I pay a certain amount of money to get a champion card. Okay. The other thing that can happen is when I complete this battle card, I take a blocker, and instead of like an award that goes over here, the battle blocker, I get to put it over here. And this is extra fun too. So here goes the chaining ability. When I complete something, I get to put it over here. So for example, if you look at this battle plan has a few things going on. It has 2 dark blues, it has a gray, and it has 2 battle axe symbols, okay? Now, what does that mean? Well, I can put this blocker over here where there are 2 dark blue symbols, and that would give me 1 point per symbol on the card, which means I get 2. Okay, I could have put it over here on the gray and gotten just 1. I could have put it on the battle axe and gotten 2. Wherever I block is going to be important. Not only is it going to get me benefits, but should I at some point close off both sides of a skirmish, I get the benefit in between. So you can see in some cases I get 3 coins, I can raise my battle by 2, I get a die, I get a card, I get 2 magic, I get a gem, onward and onward. Now these are all separate from the tableaus because they're also flippable. So there's a lot of different options there. Okay, so that's what happens when we go over here. We can complete an award, we can get magic, and you start to get that triggering effect going on. When I go over here to this shrine, I pay a certain amount of money to grab a card, but how much do I pay? Well, again, it's a complicated formula, an interestingly complicated formula. It's not as apparent as you might think. Whatever die I choose is going to give me a discount. So if I choose this number 5 die from that shrine, in the corner, it says -1. I'm going to get a -1 discount to whatever I choose. Should I have chosen the number 2 die, it's going to give me a -4. It always equals 6, okay? The -4. Now, what does that mean? Well, when I go over here, let's suppose I wanted to buy one of these instant champions. They're going to give me an instant effect. The normal cost is 1 coin, but if I have multiple, it's 1 coin plus however many I have. So if I have none, it's 1, but if I have 2, it's going to be 1 plus 1, it's 2, etc. Because I have a -1 discount, I take 1 cost off of these cards. Okay, so this one here says I could get a die from wherever I want. This instant one over here, again, is going to raise my magic. Again, that lets me manipulate the die. So these can really get you out of a jam. Then just below that, 3+. These are ongoing. So here we go. This card here says, if you get this, every time you complete a catapult card, you're going to get +2 to your battle. Again, that helps you mitigate the dice situation to meet your needs. Over here, you get money, you get an extra money. Over here, every time you get one of these champion cards, this says you are going to get a discount of 2 to the card. Okay, so it's a little cheaper. Maybe you can alleviate the pressure of the money. Lastly, over here, we have 6+, and these are endgame scoring conditions. So in the example of this one here says you're going to get 1 point for every magic that you have up to 12. So there is a cap, but they can kind of like double on top of each other. This one here says if you get this one, you're going to get 2 points for every end of game condition card you have. So your decisions are all going to start compounding. If I went to this shrine here, I'm going to get money equal to what is on my die. So once again, I have a number 3 die, and it says -3 in the corner. That means I get 3 money. I go over here. This says that I pay a certain amount of money to get a card. Now, in the example here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the costs, but remember, my die is going to give me a discount. In this case, if I get the number 2 green, it says -4 discount. At that point, 1 through 4 is essentially free. It's not going to be a big deal at all. I can take whatever I want. When I take this as a battle plan, I can put it into one of my available slots, and then I get those benefits. If I went here, I can raise this again. If I put in this slot by raising that, now, not only did I pay to raise this up, now it puts it in a new plateau of scoring conditions for me, which is fantastic. If I went from 10, which is 3 points, and I push it all the way up to 11 or 12, now I'm going to get 6 points. I doubled my points. But raising that also makes it harder on the die. When I complete this, I need to use the die exactly what it says, a red die and a green die. So it's not as easy as you think to accomplish those goals, right? And I could have put it anywhere there. Lastly, there is that battle camp. And when I go to that battle camp, that will let me accomplish a plan either that I've already reserved in one of my areas, or I can go directly to the line itself. I will still have to pay the cost, but that area right there, that camp, lets me complete something. You're going to do this until someone has 7, and then you wrap up that round, and that's the end of the game. So, boy, I have played this a number of times by myself. I played it with my wife, and my wife is a much harder critic than I am, and she even enjoyed it, which is fantastic. That solo mode is going to blow you out of the water. Now, what happens from the solo mode? Well, by comparison to the multiplayer mode, like I told you, in the multiplayer mode, everyone's going to have their figurines, and you're going to different spots, and you lay out dice depending on how many people there are. In the solo mode, you are going to put 3 gems out. You're going to put 2 dice per section here. You're going to have an even amount in that bag that you draw from. And this is all you got to do for the solo mode. You are the enemy, the adversary that you're playing against is going to start in the gem location. And that is this one right up here in this corner. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose where you want your person to go. So let's put all these dice back on the board. And I'll do an example turn here. The game is over when I get 7 or he gets 7. Essentially, that's the idea. Much like the multiplayer. I am going to choose this location here, and I'm going to take a number 6 die. I'm going to put it here. I chose brown because I see that there is a brown one here, and if I get this battle plan, it's only 1 point. Now, I can't accomplish any of the awards, so I'm going to take 2 magic, which will help me manipulate dice in the future. After I take my turn, all you got to do for the adversary is they move like a clock. If the adversary moves onto the spot you are on, they are going to take 2 points. Boom, just like that. So you really want to avoid that if possible. Ultimately, as the adversary goes all around, they're going to make it all the way over here. When they come here, they're going to take that battle plan from the top, and that's going to become theirs. And depending on the value and the number of symbols that's on the contract, they're going to get different amounts of points. If there are 2 symbols on it, they're going to get 9 points. If there's 3, they're going to get 12. If there's 4, they're going to get 15. And let me tell you, boom, boom, boom. I have not won this solo yet, and I have studied it a million different ways. So you're going to go around, you're going to do all that, and that's all you're going to do, okay? The solo is going to go by super fast, and I think what I'm going to do is do a full playthrough for you to see the actual turns in a second here, but that's the thrust of the game. If I was going to take anything away from this, I have to tell you, this is probably one of my favorite daily Magic games. You know, I've played all the Valeria card kingdoms and all those things, but this has that real Euro feel that I'm really liking. The way this liberates, you take this off. Now I have a new power, but I'm going to double chain it by putting this over here. Then if I go over here, I can take this, but there's a cost, but it's mitigated by the die or perhaps by this over here that reduced the cost. I put this over here, but I can't get more of those cards unless I liberate this space. So maybe that means I need to get an award. And I really want to get high points, but I'm blocked because I have this blocker here. So I really need to get this one off the board. I have a battle plan I can't complete. Well, that's okay. I can still bring my person here and just complete it right off the line. So you're not really going to be stuck. There's a lot of ways to mitigate what's going on. It moves very briskly. I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, that is Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, a quick review of that, but I'm also going to do a playthrough. If you have any questions about gameplay, let me know. I'm happy to answer. And until next time, friends, be well and take care. Bye.